Good morning, good evening, and good mother night to my broodies in Japan, and welcome back to another segment of Well, Actually, the show where we've already seen the future downfall of your popular opinion using the time machine of logic. I am your host, the Insider, and I am back to wrap a track and hit you with them hot facts, as a young Andre the Giant and 2 packs of Shaker used to say. Last time, I proved logically that Littlefinger clearly had a plan from the beginning to the end of Game of Thrones. But that's old news. I recently watched the Zack Snyder cut of Justice League, and it got me to thinking.
Are you pondering what I'm pondering?
See, because many people think that time travel immediately ruins a movie's narrative. That the time travel will never make sense and requires you to just not think about it. Some examples would be the 3 alternate realities in Dragon Ball Z that I guess make sense or don't make sense. The inconsistencies with affecting the future in the Back to the Future series from the first to the second to the third, and the wild ride that was Game of Thrones and Avengers Endgame. Well, actually, time travel can definitely work in a movie. Rules just need to be established and then followed.
My calculations are correct. When this baby hits 88 miles per hour, you're gonna see some serious shit.
Okay, so before I make any points, we have to define what kinds of known time travel have been used in movies. If you want to skip this tutorial, you can go ahead and go to this time, but this might be important. In reality, I'm talking about what effect the time travel can have within a movie's narrative. There are 4 basic types. There is the unchangeable future. This is like Terminator and supposedly Game of Thrones, where no matter what actions are performed, the future is set. Fate exists. No matter what they did, they blew up Cyberdyne, and yet
Judgment Day is inevitable.
now there's the second type, changeable future. This is like Back to the Future. Actions can have drastic effect on the past, the present, and the future. Parallel universes, number 3. This is Family Guy and Dragon Ball Z as well. Going back in time travels between dimensions. Even though that past can be affected, the original future still remains.
Well, the theory states that there are an infinite number of universes coexisting with ours on parallel dimensional planes.
Dimensional planes, right?
Don't do that. Don't repeat the last 2 words like you already kind of knew what I was talking about. You have no idea what I'm talking about.
And then number 4, time reversal, or just reversing time. This is what happened in the Snyder cut and in Superman. So there is no actual time travel, but time can be reversed slightly in small moments and in small increments. So now that we know what types of time travel that there are, the question really remains, when does time travel work? And the answer is simple. It always works. One condition has to be met. You have to establish a set of rules and then follow it. I know. Rocket science. Okay, so here's where it doesn't work. And by the way, this doesn't mean these movies aren't good. It does not work in Avengers Endgame because they're playing fast and loose with their time travel and with the rules that were established when they first got the time stone. First of all stones had to be replaced at the exact same time that they were taken, or dark timelines would be created. So Loki's now alive, and now there's another alternate timeline, but that's not really even focused on at the end of the movie. This is Back to the Future 2. Doc was committed to a hospital in 1985, so how did he make the time machine that Biff used in 2015 to go back in time and give himself the sports almanac? Remind yourself that if Biff never gave himself the sports almanac, how did he become rich in the first place?
Great Scott!
And as Doc always told us,
the encounter could create a time paradox, the results of which could cause a chain reaction that would unravel the very fabric of the space-time continuum and destroy the entire universe. Granted, that's a worst-case scenario.
And to add insult to injury, how did Jennifer meet herself? How would they both exist if the real Jennifer left with Marty to 2015? Lord knows. It also doesn't work in Game of Thrones. The three-eyed crow says that the ink is dry, but then Bran f***s Hodor up somehow.
Hold the door! Hodor! Hodor! Hodor!
Is he lying? Either way, if he can time travel, why not just keep going back in time and screwing everybody up? Whether he can time travel or not, he knows that he messed with their minds, and he knows exactly what everybody's thinking now. That leads to an obvious win. Whether he wanted to be king or not, which I'm pretty sure he wanted to be regardless, but whatever. Where does it work? Well, it works in the Snyder Cut. They used the perfect time travel. They went back for a couple of seconds and fixed something for a couple of seconds. It didn't have to be some lengthy explanation of how it worked either. All they said is that as the Flash went faster and faster, temporal fields were created around him. Works for me. Simple explanation. It happens one time. Game, set, and match. Another place where it works. Back to the Future 1. The rules were established in the beginning that Marty could go back in time and he could really do serious damage to his future if he messed around. And that's what happened. He messed with his parents, and his actions had consequences. Even though in Dragon Ball Z it's really dumb, it does make sense, and it follows this 3 alternate universes idea. So there's this idea that when you're considering doing something, 3 dimensions are created. One where you make that decision to do what you're considering, one where you don't, and one where you never considered it. So what about Trunks when he was considering whether he would go back in time? There was one instance where he did go back in time. There was another instance in where he decided not to go back in time and he ended up destroying the androids, and he's killed before he can even go back in time. And then there's the third where Trunks never even considers going back in time because his future is affected by the other Trunks making that decision to go forward. In any case, those 3 dimensions are created, and it's established that he can't affect his future by helping them in the past, which is the parallel universe theory, which manages somehow not to fail. Alright, if you manage to sit through all of that, you are a trooper and you are going to be getting yourself a smack in the pooper. If you liked that video, go ahead and subscribe and comment down below. What's your favorite movie that has time travel in it and why? Mine is Back to the Future, but I think it's just a great movie regardless of whether they follow their rules or not. In any case, if you enjoyed, go ahead and drop a like, subscribe, thanks, and until next time, this is The Insider, signing off. Bye!